Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting race here on Zelda Speedruns. Today we have Incoherent versus Brogor. Joining me in the booth is Excalibur as well as Radical Sniper 99. So without further ado, I'm going to hand the comms off over to them and get this race started.
The name Radical Sniper 99 makes me feel better about Excaliburs. Thank you, Mike, the commentator.
Why is that?
I mean, I picked my handle, like when I was a teenager, and now I'm stuck with it for the rest of my life.
Yeah, no, I get that feeling too.
Yeah. Anyway, this is a 3-2 match. So the winner is, or the loser rather, is eliminated. The winner being eliminated would be bad. So these guys are playing for their tournament lives. Incoherent. Sorry, go ahead.
They need to win out to make it into the playoff game. Is the best way to call it. All the 6 and 2s at the end of the Swiss have to play a play-in race, and only the top so many runners will make it into the brackets. So, a lot of pressure.
Roughly half the runners in that play-in race will make it.
Right.
But the exact numbers depend on exactly how pair-ups and pair-downs go. Basically, if the undefeated people keep stomping the one lost players, there will be more players in the play-in race and for more spots. I think that's happened 2 weeks in a row now. So, I was going to say, I think Incoherent is a slightly better known name in the community. But looking at their stats, which I will post in commentary in a moment, they look like they've had about the same sort of run through the tournament in terms of times, in terms of performance against, they sort of won a few, lost a few in a somewhat random order. So they haven't had a particularly better or worse draw. And so it looks like it should be a relatively even.
Yeah, I can say I actually ran up against Incoherent during, I think it was week 3.
Let's see what the things say. Yes. Incoherent beats Radical Sniper 99 in 2 minutes and 8 seconds, which is a pretty good time. Neither of these guys have beaten the 2-hour mark, which is one of the thresholds you can use. Like the really top players can consistently get under 2 hours about half the time, I'd say. These guys aren't quite there, but
yeah, definitely one of those seed-dependent factors, but we have seen it quite a bit in the tourney so far.
Oh, certainly it's seed-dependent, but let me tell you, the X and O guys are doing it about half the time, and the people at the bottom are doing it much less than half the time. That's hook shot in the first chest, which is an excellent way to start seed. And
yeah, we see on the other side, Sanctuary is at our Lost Woods location, so
which is decent, right? Like it's near a collection of entrances, and it's also not. It's accessible early. It's near a bunch of entrances. Third best spot for it, maybe.
Roughly, I could agree to that.
I missed the Lumberjack location. I was busy.
The back of Skull, or the back of the Lost Woods, was the Sick Kid, and that is our useless fairy drop at Lumberjack.
That's a good sign. Useless things at Aghanim. Always makes the runners happy, and it means we can go home slightly earlier.
And Brogor's actually finding a lot of bombs really early. We did see the bush crabs for the bombs, and then we get a quick find of the graveyard ledge at the Lumberjack house. So easy bombs.
Yeah, and this is one of the reasons to not habitually start Houlihan, right? Because some fraction of the time, the Sanctuary is in a decent spot. There's bombs readily available in some number of ways. The whole idea of the Houlihan start is to hedge against not having bombs, and it turns out you just get to have bombs a reasonable fraction of the time. That's the bat at the Sanctuary. It looks like Brogor is going to continue at least as far as Useless Fairy and maybe all the way to the Witch. on this initial sweep.
And we do have Cackwell at the at the Uncle drop down. So we are still just missing. We're missing a couple still. But that does mean we're definitely going to have. There's going to be an item at the pyramid, at least one.
An item, or worse yet, or better yet, Ganon, who's not really an item. But
No, we saw Ganon actually at the useless fairy drop.
Oh, I apologize. Okay, yes. So as soon as you see useless fairy and Ganon, you know that all the remaining drop downs have at least one item. So Desert Palace East in the front door of the castle is an interesting location. It's not super great from a it's not a great connector, but it is multiple connectors, and there's Incoherent getting bailed out by bombs in the well. Nothing else in here. It's a pretty blank well, frankly. And the back of escape is not much better.
But Incoherent is heading out of the well, not doing a save and quit, so we are probably going to see at least some of Desert Palace at this point.
I mean, you'd feel real dumb if the one accessible item was something. And with Hookshot, I think he can make a little bit better time through here. Brogor is, I think, on his third save and quit and hasn't been to Link's house yet, which is fair enough. There's really only one item there. But it's still unfortunate that one item is the Hookshot.
We do have Mimic Cave at the CAC Fortune Teller.
Another mark it down for a later location. I guess those being inconvenient locations is better than them being in inconvenient locations, but it's still not. Still rather, find it with the hammer in hand. All right, desert left takes us to Bonk Rocks.
Not the worst find. Not exactly going to help us, as we do get a Castle Tower small key out of the Mire Shed. And there's some density. Left of the connected house in Kakariko does have one of our Paradox Cave entrances, specifically the middle one, or at least what I would call the middle one.
I think the entrance code agrees with you. So that's a heart in the well drop. We'll see if Brogor feels like walking around for a heart. Looks like no. Moon
and
Pearl.
Wow, very early Pearl.
Just sitting there. And that appears not to be the Old Man Rescue Cave, so Brogor is going to come right back out. I don't know. In the dark, it's hard to tell. With no item use, it's hard to tell other dark caves. But if you can walk in a little bit and then walk back out.
And that's our last desert entrance. So all three of the Desert Palace entrances are very convenient to find. So it's not going to be really useful as a connector this time.
I mean, yeah, you're probably right. I think that walking from Link's house to, given where the sanctuary is, it's not useful. And Brogor is not interested in checking connectors, and so walks straight into a BMO. And I missed the big key of ice in the back of escape. That's also not great, but
you definitely feel better having the big key when you know you're going to probably do ice later.
Yeah, but it's not like it's letting you do anything. It's not solving the puzzle in the way that the Hookshot kind of is, of all the things they've found so far. That appears to be another dark cave that isn't the open ice cave. It is possible to tell them apart in the dark, but it's hard.
Yeah, there's a lot of sound cues that you can use. Some of the shape early. It's a nice little skill to have in this mode is can you kind of determine what you're looking at without seeing anything?
Yeah. And I think with any item at all, you can do a much better job. But completely, 100% no equipment, it's fairly difficult. Brogor is going to do some laser skips or laser shot in the faces. It's not clear. These are way out of logic. You need to have an invincibility item to use in logic and Crosskeys, but almost everybody knows how to do laser skips to one degree or another. And you can get the top and the bottom chests just by iframing it, which is why Brogor went out the top door, except then he tried to do the laser skip anyway. Question mark. So if you just throw yourself in the pit, you have enough iframes to get from the door and the ends to the two endmost chests.
Yeah, unfortunately, Brogor is leaving Laser Bridge, so we're not going to get to see those last 3 items. But I imagine we will see them from Incoherent momentarily.
Well, he should have used going out the top door to use the iframe skip, because, he screwed up the Boots' laser skips. Speaking of Boots, there's Boots behind a hammer. And Incoherent made his way through the dark room as far as the next room to find it was the back of Old Man. I'm not sure why he bothered to go that far. It seems like an odd choice.
I mean, it's nice knowledge, at least to know that it is one of your mountain start locations.
Yeah, it feels kind of strange for me to walk that far and then not go through, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I completely understand that point.
And yes, when I said hammer-locked boots, I meant probably hammer-locked boots, but of course there are assorted shenanigans to improve that. So GT being in Kakariko means we're likely to make a bunch of trips here later. As and when various things become available.
Now, the one thing that surprised me there from Brogor is actually not scouting the GT torch.
Yes, especially given that you have Boots information already.
Exactly.
Even more relevant. All right, let's see if Incoherent has superior laser skips to Brother. Yeah, and of course, Incoherent has a hook shot to avoid the hard hat beetle. So.
Still a rough go for Incoherent there.
Yeah, the argument from Elson is reasonable. If we think that the boots are hard hammer locked, we're gonna go left side GT basically as soon as we get a hammer anyway. So might as well. All right, flippers are invincibility item locked. And Brogor finally, 11 minutes in, deigns to enter Link's house for his hook shot. All right, so Brogor only took 1 death in Laser Bridge to get 0 items. Incoherent so far is at 2 deaths for 1 item.
Yeah, it's been a rough go for Incoherent on these laser skips. A lot of runners definitely have a bit more confidence with boots. That's where the muscle memory is. Unfortunately, just not getting these bootsless skips right now.
And this is why the logic does not require you to do these. because they actually require a decent amount of skill. It looks like incoherent is going to iframes this top one. Whoop. That's completely free, so you only really have to do 2 bootsless skips. So Brogor, having taken a death in desert earlier, because he's at the end of a route, is choosing to do the connector check now. He's going to get spat out of bonk rocks and going to be disgusted about that. This is a long walk to tick off a pretty easy to find location.
Yeah, for Brogor, having cleared pretty much all the other checks along the way, this is worthless to even continue in a certain direction.
Yeah. Incoherent finished his laser skips, I think, with only, quote unquote, only 4 deaths. Just still not optimal. All right, GT Big. Are we excited about GT Big Key?
I'm not personally a fan always. It's definitely a scary item to find. GT Climb is one of those tough calls. Probably one of the toughest to make in Crosskeys.
And we believe the uncle drop is at top of the GT, so there's more incentive to do it, slightly more incentive to do it than there could be. All right, so Brogor found a 5-item cave, and as far as I can tell, there was nothing of interest in there. Incoherent, it has a 7-item cave, which is also not super.
Yeah, pretty much about equivalent value here.
Oh,
although,
nope.
never mind.
That's a pair of boots. And knowing that the boots are out there, Incoherent goes straight back out the entrance he came in, and is heading straight for L boots.
And this will be really nice for the GT find for Incoherent.
Yep.
Because that's, we have at least, well...
It was 0 small keys.
Yeah, we don't have any smalls, which is unfortunate. You can get all the way to Rando Room and Ice Armos, but you will have to skip a chest.
Yeah, at least it's not a chest that's too bad to get back to. And there we are. I was surprised that Brogor just bailed on Kakariko before going back to Paradox Cave. They didn't have really any good way to beat Moldorms, except for 10 bombs. But it's not... That's fine, right? Like,
even if you don't go after the Moldworm kills, like I think there's a lot to say for just throwing the bomb, getting the 5 chests, and saving and quitting.
Yeah. Or even, oops, a Moldworm to the face.
Yeah, death warping. Either way, I think there is I think it's a fair play to just say I'm gonna go for it and try to at least get the 7 items.
Incoherent is rescuing the old man in the dark. I thought both runners checked this entrance and decided it wasn't the old man rescue, but this is the problem with doing commentary in the dark, is that it's hard to tell what the runners have decided.
Yeah, no shiny or light to see what's going on, so...
Yeah. Incoherent is too cool for boots and is just walking around on Death Mountain.
Did Incoherent actually pick up his boots?
Yes, Totes did. Even dashed at least once.
Okay, because I was going to say, he doesn't have it tracked on his own tracker.
That's probably why he's not using them. But he picked them up, immediately dashed, and then forgot he had them. Sword, that might make him remember. or not. Aha! And with hook and sword and boots, we can go fast. I mean, we can go fast anyway. But, yeah, I mean, no sword dashing straight into a dead rock is not great, but all right. And Spectacle Rock Cave, I believe that was a big key, but I only saw it for 3 frames, so feel free to correct me.
Okay, Spectacle Rock just really confused me. Vanilla entrances are like, whoops.
Yeah, they happen occasionally.
Yeah.
And while he was doing that, while Incoherent was doing that, Brogor was doing Hype Cave. And Hype Cave had a fire rod in it, as well as a medallion, which is a good find. It's a real weapon. And Incoherent finishes off Dark West Death Mountain, by finding the Fairy Ascension Cave. So we'll see if this goes somewhere interesting. We have nothing better to do than follow this connector. So.
Yeah, it would have been a save and quit anyway, so maybe we'll get somewhere like maybe Village of Outcasts or North Dark World, or even East Dark World wouldn't be half bad in this scenario.
I mean, even almost
even that.
Given the Moon Pearl in hand.
Yeah, and with boots and hookshot and flippers, a lot of options.
Yeah, you can in fact go all the way around anti-clockwise using hook and flips to the Village of Outcasts area. Or we could just find Hyrule Castle and take it somewhere else. Brogor, somewhat surprisingly, making aggressively early flipper checks, given his lack of flippers. You see the way more of this in regular item rando, and than you do in Crosskeys.
Yeah, as pointed out in chat, we have 2 very early Skullwoods keys.
Mm-hmm.
And we know where the third one is.
Mm-hmm. We'll see if Incoherent more aggressively plays for it. There's an Ice Rod. So we now have both rods in inventory. So let's have a critical early game item locked on Trinix. Fortunately, I believe the Trinix is still locked behind a bunch of small keys because you can do dumb things with your keys. But
yeah, technically the key logic will still say you need Howl 4 to fight Trinix, but realistically, you only need 1 key to full clear Turtle Rock if you have the entrances.
Which you don't always. But they have Laser Bridge. On the other hand, because of that key logic, you're not quite as excited to like, oh, I've got both rods and the Turtle Rock big key. Let's go kill Trinix. Like, nah, it's fine. We'll get to that later.
You mean you don't like 5 heart Trinix with a hammer?
No.
Oh, okay.
At least hammer is better than Fighter Sword. Fighter Sword Trinix is no fun.
And I don't know how the logic works for actual Fighter Sword Trinix. I've discussed this with a lot of people. It's quite a complicated set of rules because of the number of magic extensions you actually need to use Fire Rod or Ice Rod solely to get the kill.
I used to have the code open when I was doing commentary, and nobody asked a question that I had to look at it in long enough that I no longer do that. So if there's a dead spot later in this feed, maybe I'll crack it open and have a look. Yeah, and Ellison is of course correct that hammer is
Yes,
a
of
weapon that does
course.
real damage. So, all right, let's see where these Hyrule Castle exits go. Pick that useless exit off the list. We might see Incoherent go out there if the third exit is a bust, just because it's the fastest way to desert readily available. But
The more interesting piece here is that Incoherent's actually using that desert right entrance to go back into Hyrule Castle and head back into Dark Cross. Unfortunately, taking a death was in Dark World Dark Cross, so those snakes actually were doing extra damage.
like 8 times as much damage as they normally do, or something.
Yeah,
It's not just a little bit extra.
yeah.
It's a lot. All right, Brogor is going to show us the lower exit paradox. It's GT. That's exciting. Less exciting without the mirror, but it's a place.
Yeah, we're actually getting to see these Dark World locations. So that does mean that Incoherent's play into this portion of Dark World is mostly is in logic, actually. While Incoherent took the old man connector without the lamp to get here, Brogor did find the intended way, at least for now.
Yeah, and it wouldn't surprise me if this is. I mean, this gets you into basically all of the Dark Worlds with the flippers. That oh no, the flippers are still out of logic. So it's not quite all of Dark World yet. But
With Hammer and Hook, though, I think we are. Besides, of course, Dark Shopping Mall.
yes, when I said all of Dark World, I meant basically like literally all of Dark World. But yeah, we can hammer our way to Pod and then hook our way to the North Dark World. So I would. Oh, except that Brogor or Incoherent wound up back on East Seth Mountain again. Here's Sahasrara. Another great location to find. Less great place to turn in your Rune Pendant, especially given that it's Tower of Hera and you're quite likely to wind up doing that at some point. It's also worth noting that Incoherent found Floating Island, which is a nice thing to know about for later. Yeah, and Old Man Save and Quit on East Seth Mountain. It's an excellent spot for that.
Yeah, that's a great drop down, or a great entrance location. Overall, I think our 3 start points are actually pretty good, as we do find Misery Mire as well.
Yeah, and I don't know if that makes it more or less likely that we're going to find the flute from a moral standpoint. Ooh, mirror. And Brogor gets so excited about his mirror, he almost save and quits before checking the back.
And we have accomplished Hotel Mario % over on Incoherent's side.
I continue to be sad that there's not a Hotel Mario goal. For entrance seat.
But here we go. We are going to get to see some of Misery Mire. Unfortunately, Incoherent does not have any fire source yet. So, not going to be able to go get the 2 on the Firelock side.
Yeah, and with no keys, this is a kind of tedious check too. You have to take the long way around. You can do it. It's not even hard, but you do have to mess about a little bit more picking up pot keys. And Brogor is finally going to get back to Kakariko. So Brogor ducked out of the bottom of Paradox Cave to check that connector before coming over here to get his boots, which feels a little bit dubious to me. Like you can just run back over to Paradox with your boots, and wherever that connector is going to take you is great. So, and now we have boots. Brogor can do boots laser skips and get those flippers. Yeah, and it looks like his muscle memory for boots full laser skips is much better. It's also much easier.
And Incoherent finding the book out of the arena chest of Meyer. I think that's really been our only major prize so far.
Yeah. We do have a little bit more messing about. I think there's 2 more chests. Why can't the runners just pick up the compasses when I need them to do commentary? Brogor is making the play into GT without any spell keys. So we'll see if this pays off. Thieves Town Big is a real thing.
Yeah.
That's maybe not completely justifying the Misery Mire dip, and you've isolated pretty hard those 2 left side checks, which is especially frustrating because we know the Fire Rod is out there to be had. But I'm not totally sold that now is the time to start doing like deep dungeon dips. But there's plenty of entrances out there that you haven't found. Plenty of item dense caves. You've got boots. I'm not entirely sure why Incoherent is doing a Misery Mire dip there. Can you advocate on Incoherent's behalf here?
Yeah, no, I get it. It's what, we got 4 quick items on that play.
The argument I would make is they're not quick items.
You're there. It's the end of it's at the end of a path for Incoherent.
Yeah.
That was there was gonna be a save and quit either way. So
did Brogor just pick up the double firebar room? He did. Oopsies. Yeah. 4 items are better than 1 item most of the time, and also the double firebar room is the most key locked location in here. So, disagree. Yeah, I guess it's just as locked as Render, but Render room is still 4 things, and firebar room is just 1. So,
and I'll say that one I can't give you a defense.
Sorry, I guess it's not only is it more items, it's also items that are deeper into the dungeon and therefore take longer to get back to you. And also, Ice Armos. So it's 7 items. It's really 7 items versus 1 item. Now,
plus, Brogor has GT Big Key rather than having found a small key. So, that's an 8th item.
Yeah. Oh, and Bob's chest.
And Bob, yeah. So 9. Yep.
Oof. Yep. I think 9 things are better than 1 thing. What do you think?
I tend to agree. I've heard that in regards to even 3 is better than 1. So 9 must be.
Well, it's twice as much, right? Because 9 is better than 3, and 3 is better than 1. Yeah. Oh, and Brogor hasn't gotten around to finding a sword yet. There's a sword out there for him, which he will find eventually. Red mail at half an hour with no mirror, kind of annoying.
Well, and we do know it's available. Just have to go find it.
Yeah, that early boon pearl plus a couple of decent connectors and mobility items has unlocked enough of the game. Runners have lots of choices. Brogor, feeling very clever, setting up hook speed on the stairs in Sanctuary until he realized that he had a mirror and mirrored out.
Now, Incoherent did open the double firebar chest as well, but already had a small key, so this works out a little better. Is still going to have the keys to get the rest of the way.
Yep. But it has to leave behind the big chest. Might come back eventually to pick that up via the right-hand side. Or if things get desperate, but that won't happen for at least an hour. The top paradox is in the mire area, which is an excellent find. That means that greatly reduces the number of things that the mitts potentially lock. It's a whole bunch of easy to get to entrances with the mirror in hand. Good find.
So the only real prize in our rando room was our Skullwood's big key.
Yay, fetch quests. Oops. Brogor finds the library at the back of desert with nothing, so never coming back there. And Brogor runs around to the front of Mystery Mire to mirror in here. You don't have to do that. You can mirror from behind the mire head as long as the door's not open. It is kind of a faff to get back out, but if you're going to do this anyway, you might as well.
And talk about a convenient bow there in Bob's chest.
Yup. Never mind. Hammer Armos. And Brogor finds the connector bridge. There's always at least one connector to the bridge. And sometimes there's two. And in this case, there's two. It's the logic preloads the exit-only locations, assigns them first, and then goes through the rest. Incoherent, walking out of the basement. Where could people choose to take death warps from always confuses me. I feel like, I guess there's no easy way to death warp from the back of Ice Armos.
Yeah, I mean, no, there's really not, because by the time you get back up to get to the big chest room, you're already roughly close enough.
Yeah, I feel like some runners like really aggressively death warp when they can just walk, and that felt like the opposite way. But I think that's just down to not having any good way to kill himself. Right. I missed lava chests.
I don't believe it was anything of importance.
I agree. Incoherent has somehow wound up at the Dark Witch Hut.
Which is convenient. I mean, Incoherent does have quite a bit to be able to check here, so...
Yeah, unfortunately, Incoherent does not have the mirror, and is going to a bunch of places that would be really nice to have the mirror in, which is slightly unfortunate.
We did get to see the front of TR, however, at the Dark Sanctuary. And there's the bottom of Spiral Cave.
Great. That is exactly where you want to see the bottom of Spiral Cave. Somewhere completely useless. It's actually not. It's troublingly. It very well might be useful later. But
it at least gives you that idea of, like, if you find Spiral and it, you know, oh, maybe I want to go back there.
Yeah. Well, they don't have a better way to North Dark World from somewhere, so Eastern. And it looks like Incoherent is not on the Eastern Palace hater train, and it's going straight in.
Yeah, unfortunately, no big key, but maybe we'll find a vanilla big key?
Yeah. I mean, I'll assume we can all explain counter-diagonalization to explain why there's more real numbers than there are rational numbers, but this is not a math stream, so... Though, as Chet is proving, it turns out we're all nerds here in Rando. This is not a non-nerd hobby. Master Sword might pay off this tip just all by itself.
Yeah, that's actually a really cool find for incoherent here. Once your incoherent finds that mirror, that also opens up both tablets.
Yeah.
So where do you stand on the Eastern Palace hater train? Is this a good play or
I'm firmly on team context matters.
I like it.
I feel like actually that's a lot of life and not just I don't know. This is an entire game mode built around, well, or at least making decisions that are influenced by Bayesian statistics, and making wise decisions based on updating your priors about where are good places to go. If your prior is ever absolute, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. I definitely feel that if I find Eastern really early, I like to go in and do as much as I can just to kind of, it's worth the ease of those checks.
Oh, there's another bow in Misery Buyer.
Well, that works out nicely for incoherent. Unfortunately, not getting that bow early, but not losing anything in terms of the logical implications there.
Yep. Oof. Apparently, Brogor doesn't know how to do the rail clip and had to walk around the outside of Misery Mire like a chump. I have been told that the rail clip in Misery Mire is not that hard. I haven't actually seen tutorials, but I haven't learned it myself.
I'm in the same boat. I really do need to add that to my repertoire.
Maybe the most impressed I've ever seen with a runner in terms of execution was in a co-op spoiler race in the league last year, where the pilot told the runner how to do the trick, and then the runner did it. Like, first try, no problem. God damn it, these people are better at execution than me.
So incoherent, knowing that the pinball room is of course a vanilla small key, or is a small key for Skullwoods always in entrance rando, or for Crosskeys. So going to be heading out and skipping that key, already having 2 other ones.
Yeah. Hey, an early map check. We find out that Hera is dependent. We knew already, or rather, incoherent knew already. And showing off Ice Rod versus Gibdos. Yeah. It's worth remembering that we have all of the Skullwoods keys that we're ever going to need, so the stuff is more in logic than usual, but nobody cares about Skullwoods key logic. No.
Yeah, I mean, as long as I can get to Skullwoods, I know that I can kill Moth.
Yeah. Well, in entrance, you do have to come up with a sword and a fire source.
Of
before you
course.
kill Moth, which is, I have seen at least one runner get to the curtain with no sword and be like, well, I'm sad now.
Speaking of the back of Skullwoods.
Yep. Yeah, I guess you could just drop into everywhere. Brogor giving us better confirmation of the key on the non-peak entrance to Spectacle Rock.
I don't know, we were talking earlier about those Turtle Rock small keys. Incoherent now up to 3 Turtle Rock smalls after getting 2 out of the chests associated with Skull Woods.
Oh, right, and incoherence doesn't take up fire rod, so cannot beat Mothula. All right, let's read.
Hey, that's a small key.
Yeah, it's even one that we probably want, but Brogor has not yet found enough swords to do magic. Ooh, on the other hand, a glove is.
And
is
this is starting to compound these little things, having that mirror and now a glove that we know is locked behind that mirror. Really going to help Brogor's route.
Yep. He was already getting a little bit ahead because of mirror efficiency. Not necessarily mirror locked. We'll find out in a moment. In fact, I think we just did find out.
Yeah. Yes, there was a chance that cave was not, or was a connector to somewhere accessible without the mirror, but unfortunately in this case it was not.
I am a little bit sad on Brogor's behalf that he hopped down to the front door of the old man. I feel like at some point in the last 45 minutes he should have saved and quit to there, but I don't know when. I have no specific memory of him.
I don't remember if
but
did Brogor rescue the old man?
Oh, he hasn't rescued the old man yet. That's fair. He too cool to rescue the old man in the dark.
Yeah, Incoherent actually had gone up to Dark World from that, Death Mountain from there, but Brogor had not yet done so.
Yeah, and in fact, he hasn't gotten to the correct entrance yet. He's doing a top-down Death Mountain sweep here. And I'm pretty sure that in this totally reasonable order, this cave here is his last one. The old man could possibly be at, and he gets unlucky for him to be there. For those of you in chat that are wondering why the old man can't be in the standard old man rescue delivery position, the answer is the game crashes if the old man rescue cave's there. Incoherent finds that the back of Hookshot Cave leads to Bumper Ledge, and gets a big key for his trouble, which is several things ticked off the list. Chooses to go back to Hookshot to get back to, because it's a slightly better place to be in the Dark World. But
yeah, and unfortunately, this is just more locations that Incoherent is having to leave behind.
Yep.
It really has just started adding up, Brogor, in terms of items, isn't, missed out on the other bow in GT, but has been really able to start knocking out tons of checks.
The mirror, and there's both the actual mirror locked locations that are getting left behind, and those are all over the map, and they're kind of obnoxious to get back to. But there's also just routing efficiency for going like dark, which Brogor actually hasn't done a ton of, but done a little bit. And going back down here to get this as a connector back to South Dark World.
Yeah, and it's the combination now of the glove with the mirror. That really is, 95+% of all the entrances in the game are figured out.
Yep. Pod big on Stumpy. We're doing all right for big keys this week. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are required or required-ish. Brogor attempting to hammer dash here. I think missed it enough times in a row that it wasn't worth it. But And here is Blindside. I think this is where Mirror is.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Because I think it was, Mini Moldorm had our Fire Rod?
Yep. And I remember Brogor getting excited enough about his mirror that he almost left before checking the back. So. If you're incoherent, do you feel bad about how long it took you to find the mirror? Or do you think, like, that was kind of a dumb spot?
I think the hard part here is that this was relatively convenient for incoherent, and it was just a missed opportunity. And that's what hurts the most there. Incoherent had found his way from Dark Death Mountain down to Swamp Palace and was right there at Hyrule Castle and just kind of abandoned it for a while.
Yeah, he followed a connector and it led him away. In fact, it was this connector to Dark East Death Mountain, and chose to continue to take the one-way connector, knowing he'd have to come back for some remaining entrances in Set Dark World. And I think from a pure efficiency point of view, that was the correct move, but now he gets to feel bad.
Now, on the plus side, Incoherent is going to be able to knock out this Tower of Hera entrance and get that glove, as well as get that Palace of Darkness small key. So while the mirror find was quite a bit delayed in comparison to Brogor, Incoherent really not missing a step here.
He missed this Skullwoods 3 entrance as well because of the missing Fire Rod. It turns out to be nothing, so that's good for Incoherent. He might get back to checking that eventually, but I feel like if you don't check Skullwoods 3 the first time you're in Skullwoods, that's going to be one of the last things in the game you check. Half magic on the pedestal, we are not getting that today.
Not a chance.
Bad news. No half magic.
And realistically, we have pretty free silver arrows. Yeah. And Incoherent realizing, wait a minute, I want to check the Hookshot Cave entrance.
Mm-hmm. I think that, yeah, he might be dropping down in Dark World here as well, so this isn't necessarily a routing mistake, or rather, it's not as consequential a routing mistake. Pain of Samaria at Hookshot Cave entrance.
We were talking. We were saying about the Misery Mire return. Give Incoherent a fire source, and there's the finish on Mire.
Mm-hmm. And he will turn up that fire. The fire rod was in Sphere 0 or Sphere 1, so he'll turn that up sooner or later. I believe. I'm sorry if you guys can hear the motorcycles in the background. Especially with the glove in hand, I wouldn't be surprised if he made his way to Dark Shopping Mall medium aggressively, and is likely to pick up Mini Moldorm Cave on the way there. I'm pretty sure that was the sweep that got it for Brogor. Looks like we're doing an eastern area first. And let's see if the Death Mountain Descent Cave entrance, the Southwest Death Mountain Foothills Cave entrance is anything important. It's Spike Cave. Indecision.
This will be close, but I think it's possible for Brogor to get through.
It's going
to be close.
I think it is not easy, and it might be needlessly expensive. But on the other hand, it's a terrible place to get back to. So, yep, 2 hearts remaining. I think he had another. Oh no, yep.
Yeah, a combination of that red potion and the hook shot and just enough hearts was able to give it. And yes, Ganon is at the useless fairy.
Incoherent finds Aga Tower and has a key in hand. And we know we don't have to beat Aghanim today, so take this off, never come back here. We are going to have to do the maze in the dark, but it's not that hard a maze.
There's our Thieves Town small key, so when we find Thieves Town, that is going to be a full clear of that dungeon.
Oh, Brogor goes into the old man rescue cave with a sword and accidentally hops down, having successfully not done that with no sword, which is a bit surprising. Oh, nice use of ether. So this looks laggy as heck. Yikes. Yeah, I thought it was a good use of ether until I saw just how bad. That was a truly impressive amount of lag, even for this game. Swamp Palace. Flute spot 5, which is relevant if and when we ever find a flute. And the Dark World.
No change in information too much, except we do find out that Thieves was also one of our red crystals.
Yeah, that seemed like an unnecessary map check, but yeah, finding out both the red crystals from your maps before you find the bomb shop is a bit depressing. Like, that's supposed to be free information. There was a race earlier in the tournament where they found the bomb shop late enough in the sea that the bomb was just sitting there, and I was deeply confused. I was like, "Do you want this red bomb? It's right here." Brogor finds the other side of Super Bunny Cave. We've already got the items over there. Looks like Incoherent is interested enough in continuing in the Dark World that he's going to walk out of Pod. We'll see where he goes after this. Oh, but I'm never 100% convinced by any route that involves walking out of Pod.
Well, I think for Incoherent, this is a check of all the things left behind, and maybe we see King's Tomb and Graveyard Ledge, and just a route back over to the North Dark World and the rest of the map that was kind of just abandoned a little bit.
Yeah, well, and I expect actually the next stop here to be the pyramid for the top of the castle, as well as the pyramid item.
Yeah, the only other place I'd also consider is, do we see that dark shopping mall you mentioned? And there's our dam.
And with our Presti Changeo new dam track, news a couple of days ago, y'all can see that Incoherent has drained the dam. There is no more water.
And while Incoherent doesn't know it, we know that that is a crystal, so definitely had to find it.
Yeah. And Brogor doing hammer, fighter sword, fire rod, Mothula. It's not going super. There we go. It took longer than he would have liked, but
Hey, as long as you get the kill, that's all that matters, right? And we get the big key to Swamp House out of that.
certainly there's a much larger time loss if you screw up. That's the first crystal in under an hour. We'll pretend like that matters.
Pretty average start for Crosskeys.
Yeah. There's a couple of dungeons that are often easily completable early, depending on where they are and soon you find them. Incoherent, making the shortcut version of the hobo check. one of the cuter little bits of overworld design, as far as I'm concerned. Just a heart container for the pyramid item. Likely not going to get that. And incoherent mirroring on the left-hand side of the pyramid. This is easier to not mirror bonk on the way back compared to mirroring on the right. It's easier to line up because you can line up against the edge of the castle.
And I just mirror at the top, so...
Mirroring at the top is just slower. Mirror on the left. Or on the right. Both of these are better than the top. The top of the castle appears to be a bust, except for Brothers Connector. We'll see if Incoherent is interested. Looks like yes. And it turns out to go nowhere interesting. But that's one fewer place that a connector could go in the future. I'm not sure where Incoherent is digging for connectors to anymore. He's gotten to most of the important parts of the game at this point.
I don't think... Did Incoherent see the Mire area yet?
No, because it's the third exit to Paradox, and he hasn't done it.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of where his mind might be going is, what brings me over to Mire?
Yeah, and that's totally reasonable. The fact that he's left that third Paradox connector for a long time is kind of unfortunate, but he doesn't actually have any particularly good reason to go back to Cactico. So... All right. This is actually a reasonable place to end Incoherence route. Catfish into Waterfall Ferry into Zora. A few checks up here.
Yeah, given how much money we've already got, Incoherent leaving behind the blue boomerang, though.
There is no reason to pick up the boomerang there.
I mean, you already have the best boomerang, so... I feel like I just said something that just died right as I said it. Like,
I'm sorry. I will not get into your boomerang holy war. Brogor using sword beams on the Stalfos. All right, let's see if King Zora has anything for us today. No. Play the casino and you lose.
Yeah, so both runners having made that Eastern dip, so nobody really gained or lost much in this play.
Yeah, and in fact, Incoherent definitely gained meaningfully with the ability to make the Ether Tablet check with the Master Sword, as well as, easier fights so far. But there's even been logical implications to the Master Sword, which doesn't always come up. And it looks like Incoherent is making the choice to run all the way out of Zora area, which
just plays further into that play for the North Dark World here with the checks missed earlier, for sure.
Yep. No, and I'm not even going to say that it's the wrong choice, but man, walking out of Pod and walking out of Zora are both things you'd rather not do.
Oh, of course.
There's no great way back here for him, so...
Yeah, North Dark World's a very easy area to kind of isolate.
Yeah. and both of our runners making these checks at the same time. And incoherent getting the quick warp in both directions, using the iframes out of the thing, whereas Brogor has to balk to get his quick warp set up. And incoherent going to use, having checked the 2 mirror spots in the North Arc world, is going to whirlpool down to Shopping Mall.
And did we see Ice Rod Cave on Incoherent side yet?
No.
This might just be all these checks all together, so...
It is, which is the reason you put these checks off for as long as possible. He hasn't yet done the Vanilla Dam entrance either, which will presumably be on his to-do list in the reasonably near future, given that he can get the Sunken Treasurer as well. Pretty sure he hasn't done the Vanilla Dam entrance. Hey, it's Thiefstown.
It's that fully clearable dungeon for Incoherent.
Yeah, he can be doing that for the next 5 minutes. I wouldn't be surprised to see Brogor also make the Zora sweep. Apparently he did that already? Or he just too cool to check Zora?
This could really change some of the flow of this race, though. Incoherent having the Thieves' small key.
Both, yeah. I mean, Brogor's definitely going to check the front four. Did I lose Jesse? Gonna get his mitts.
Yeah. No, I agree with you there that we'll definitely see the mitts for Brogor, but it's going to really be a question of, do we have is something important in the big chest?
Yeah.
As chat's saying, Dark Shopping Mall is not a nice location to get back to, so when you find it the first time, you're very tempted to clear it if you have the big key.
Yeah. And Brogor chooses not to whirlpool down to Shopping Mall because he hasn't yet done the... Look at how slow these stairs are. This is why you mirror on the sides of the back top of the pyramid. Got better things to do than walk up those stairs.
That's why you hook speed up those stairs. I know that was still a very suspect statement, but...
Incoherent finds the powder in Thievestown. Yay for fetch quests. It's also a good safety. I don't think we're at the point in this feed where we need safeties anymore, but we don't need safeties, but we're happy to have safeties, I guess. And we're going to hop down and go back through desert, it looks like. We've got
gonna turn in that big key.
Got the big key in hand, and we might want to go back to the slightly dubious other exits of Desert Palace as well. I guess it's a thing to do at a reasonable break point in his route.
Okay, so just a small key from Meyer in the Thievestown big chest, so definitely not an important find.
No, definitely not. And also, incoherent. So it's not important, and it's not even an important one for convenience because incoherent already had one Meyer small. The second one is not super relevant. Thanks, Blind. if it makes you feel better, wall kicks, I just looked at an individual dungeon and assumed you hadn't found it because it wasn't marked without noticing that you hadn't marked any of them. So, by the way, I guess I can take this opportunity to shout out our trackers, Wall Kicks, who at least sometimes does his job, and Jixie Girl, who's also our restreamer, who's tracking for Brogor. Who's now back in GT with more small keys and can go all the way to Ice Armors. Maybe. No promises.
Well, and it appears Incoherent is going to need to return to the Dark Shopping Mall. We did find the North Desert Palace entrance.
Dope.
And still no fire source and no big key.
Yeah. Oh well. I would. Oh, jeez, and the Smith. Smith's under a rock. Let's hope this isn't a Smith turning in seed because getting over there sucks.
Yeah, that is definitely a journey.
Maybe we'll find a flute and it'll all be fine. But all right, I don't remember if Brogor made this island check earlier. He didn't because he was doing fake flips. We'll find the bomb shop, and Incoherent's like, you're useless to me, man.
And we find Tower of Hera at Ice Palace.
Underneath the Titan's Mitts. It's a pendant dungeon behind 2 gloves and the flippers. You're gonna do it. It doesn't take very long, but and I don't know if you're more suspicious that it's required because you've gotten all the stuff to do to get here relatively short order, or not. But
yeah, I mean, Hera is at least a quick dungeon in the grand scheme of things.
It's very much so. Even
and
without...
apparently it's super required.
Yep. The breadcrumbs sort of led here, right?
Yeah. But that Swamp Small is all the info we needed.
Mm-hmm. We'll see. I mean, Incoherent doesn't know that yet, but if Incoherent continues following the breadcrumbs straight over to Swamp Palace, or rather, over to Swamp Palace at the next convenient opportunity. I think he's got things to do. Brogor using the secret hidden mode of Crosskeys, taking the portal directly to the Dark World. Mode would be more fun if we just got rid of those. And was that a tempered sword as the item, as the boss drop too?
The tempered sword was off of blind, if I'm not mistaken.
And we're straight back over here to use the whirlpool to get to town, I believe. Incoherent showing excellent memory for the secret connectors of Crosskeys. Off to go check our powder turning.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the skills when you start to get up skill level for this mode is, how can I route in from check to check better?
Yeah. And remembering the existence of the whirlpools and the Dark World portals, which are always vanilla, somebody over on the dev team decided it would be cruel if those were randomized. I think is true. You basically wouldn't bother checking the whirlpools, I think.
I mean, did you see the this past seasonal festive rando with the shuffled whirlpools?
I didn't, but
Okay.
sorry, I heard about it, but I failed to download any seeds before they went away,
Oh.
and I was sad. So that mode sounded like lots of fun, but I was busy when it was available, and I forgot to preload some seeds. All right, here's the Swamp Palace play. Yes, Incoherent, for various reasons that are fairly good, has left behind Mini Moldrum Cave for a long time. Mini Moldrum Cave Inference for a long time. I actually think that approximately then was one of his better chances to get there, but got distracted by. Actually, I don't know what I got distracted by. I think that was one of his better chances to get over. He hasn't yet checked the Sucking Treasure, so there is reason for him to run south out of Lake's house at some point.
Yeah, should be there soon. That is a free item.
Soon might be 20 or 30 minutes from now, but yeah, it's on his to-do list. And it will move up his to-do list if he happens to get spat out there from some connector or something. Incoherent going south first. Slightly controversial maneuver. It's very slightly slower if you are going to do left side, and if he doesn't do left side, I'd be surprised.
Yeah, this early, we're still missing enough that it makes sense as a play.
Yeah. The seat is sufficiently divergent. It's not yet clear who's in the lead. Brogor certainly got the mirror first, but I feel like Incoherent has made some correct plays since then, and has been. I think he got unlucky not to get the mirror earlier, and his overall decision making, I think, I prefer. You agree?
Yeah, I think the plays that we've seen recently have really worked out nicely for Incoherent to kind of. I don't want to call it a comeback because there's it's Crosskeys and it takes long enough to figure that out. But
all right, Incoherent is setting up this. Is dedicated to this diver down. He's got a cane. Cane diver down is way easier.
yeah, at this point, Incoherent's just not getting the exit of the water at all. That diagonal right after getting out.
Yeah, but why? I mean, it solves him not having any bombs afterwards.
Yeah.
Like, never mind everything else.
Yeah, Cane Diver Down is really not a difficult setup. I personally would prefer a Cane setup. Definitely know both, but surprise there.
Yeah. And yeah, once you've set up diver down, you can't change your mind. It's one of the most committal plays in the game. And here's Brogor making it over to Shopping Mall, so he's going to get to Thieves Town in a moment and clear that. He has the Desert Big Key and a fire source, so we're going to probably complete Desert Palace while we're over here as well, which is going to save Brogor a trip to the southeast part of the map. I don't think there was a tempered sword in here.
Tempered and the mitts.
The mitts. So those are both things that are going to make Brogor's life better.
And we do know that those mitts are required for us to reach Hera for the Swamp Small Key. So,
Brogor goof grabs on quick swap there and mirrors out rather than continuing. Bonks on the door. doing a dash. I don't know. So there are reliable setups to not do that. I don't know how, in what order people learn that tech versus other nonsense. Like, I don't know if Alisoon, for instance, has a list of what order you should learn all the tricks in.
I will say that one, not to say it's necessarily easy, but if you're thinking about it, just making sure you're against the bottom of the screen is usually pretty reliable to think about. So,
yeah,
but yes,
especially
we did see Incoherent not using Diver Down in the back, so maybe just not knowledgeable in the ways of the cane Diver Down,
or forgot he had it.
or that.
Wouldn't be the first time it happened to this seed. And if he only had one bomb, like he had 0, so he definitely couldn't do bomb Diver Down. But even if you had one, given the struggles in the front, you could very easily believe that it wasn't going to skip time. Despite the sword beams having a good time at this Argus fight, not perfect, but good.
Yeah, luckily sword beams don't really change the fight. The sword beams won't actually do anything to the puffs, so you can't get a damage overwrite.
Oh, really?
Yeah, fighter sword strikes do not hurt puffs.
Okay. Right, only spins.
Correct.
The way that damage tables are coded in this game are baffling to me. I realized that it was an attempt to save memory, but it causes all kinds of really weird interactions in random, including that one. Back when every byte of memory was sacred. This might be the trip to Dam and Mini Moldorm entrance, and apparently this entrance right next to Link's house that's been available since the start of the game. That Sphere 0 check 80 minutes in is less uncommon than you would think, given that it's right flipping there. But you feel really silly if you check it late and you've already checked Shopping Mall and left that one out, and there's something important there. Here's Hype Cave.
Yeah, and unfortunately, this is one of those things you're like, I'm an hour and 20 in, and Hype Cave was this early, and I get Quake and Fire Rod? Jeez.
Yeah. Especially considering you just had to leave behind Desert Back because you didn't have a fire source.
Well, and still wouldn't have been able to without the Desert Big, so
that's fair.
Not a huge loss.
How are we doing on Crystal Pendant Punch? 2 out of Eastern Mire and Turtle Rock are pendants?
Yes.
So
yeah, as a crew side, we only need to know 1 more crystal.
Under the rock, we have an ice palace. Incoherent. Could go do that. Decides to check over here. Probably going to go straight back. Yeah. Swap to the
I agree. Yeah, that's a fully clearable ice palace. We have at least we have the big and a small, so going to be a pretty convenient ice palace to go through.
And the secret third kind of key, Cane of Samar.
Yes, the best key in Ice Palace is the Cane of Samaria.
In fact, the best key in Ice Palace is a thing that blows up Freezors. Zizzy 44. Yes, the new water droplet indicator for Swamp Palace to shift the drain the dam, and it was added like 2 days ago. So you haven't been missing for long. We'll see in a moment if Incoherent really forgets that he has the cane, or only mostly forgets that he has the cane. Or just doesn't know cane diver down, or doesn't like it, or whatever.
Yeah, there are definitely runners who prefer one method over the other.
And Incoherent with a small key and a big key and a cane doesn't hit the crystal switch, which gets you, I believe, is slightly faster overall. But doesn't mean you have to use a different route through the dungeon. I think that Icebreaker has made the existence of Icebreaker has made the routing in Ice Palace much more interesting. On the other hand, it does mean you have to memorize like 3 or 4 ways through here, depending on which collection of stuff you have.
Yeah, I actually prefer this route if I have the big key already. If I have a big and a small especially, I really enjoy the idea of just kind of skipping out on hitting the switch if I'm going to full clear the dungeon.
Yep. Well, you both enjoy it, and it's, I think, correct, which is... That's a wonderful combination of things.
Yes.
Doesn't mean the route feels a bit weird if you're used to the other routes. It's standard, but... Brogor is going to discover Tower Fire in a moment. We get his Swamp Small. So that bomb location is flute required for delivery, I believe.
So this is actually a funny thing that I've been discussing, or I had a discussion with some people last night, because running off, or not running, but walking off a dock with the big bomb doesn't activate it.
Okay.
So, and technically, since there is a dock back up onto shore, we might not need a flute.
Okay. That sounds awful.
Yeah.
Eastern Big, potentially a third of a required item, depending on which the Crystal Pendant layout. This doesn't feel like a big bomb seed yet, but if it comes to that, and we still don't have a flute, we'll see if the runners A, know how to do it, and B, are interested.
Well, I think at this point, what can be behind the big bomb? Possibly a key that we need, but generally speaking, we're down to just pod can't be behind it.
Yeah, we can't hard require a lamp anymore. We don't need the flute. Yeah, it's a key or a fetch quest that gives us a key. And even on keys, we're mostly good.
Yeah. There's a big key possibility with TR at this point, but I think that's it.
Yep.
Now, Incoherent is going to have to do the sword beam duplication strategy here for Cold Stare. Uh-oh.
He's got a potion.
He's
got a red potion, which doesn't help. Whoops!
Oh man, that's really gonna hurt for timing.
And also, didn't he skipped the refill room?
No, he didn't have a small key for refill room. Having taken north in the dark in the cross.
Yeah.
Spent the spare key he had, and then had to pick up the key leading to Ice Tea to get to Cold Stare.
Oops.
So when I personally am of the opinion that if you only have one small key and don't hit the switch, you don't do the cross drop down.
Yep. The red potion doesn't help unless he uses it before the last couple of fire shots, of course. But yeah, having used the rest of his meter, he was dumb. He was stuck. Should have paused 3 seconds earlier. Well, that's like a 2-minute mistake. Something like that.
Yeah, it's a rough one. Definitely gonna Like, it's going to weigh. And given, the situation that we were talking about, this is an elimination game.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like even leaving aside the refill room, there are enough magic pots scattered around Ice Palace that he could have gotten, maybe. Let's see if Brogor also goes for straight across. Oh. And Incoherent entirely irrelevantly kills the Pokey with 4 small keys in hand. There is no conceivable reason to kill that Pokey there.
Muscle memory.
Yes, absolutely. You often see people in entrance skip it when they have 1 Turtle Rock small key. 4, definitely time to skip that key. I mean, okay, you can kill him for lore reasons. If you've got to build a story in your head that Pokey was mean to your mom. But Desert Big that Incoherent didn't find earlier. It looks like he's going all the way through to the front and killing more things for more small keys that he doesn't need.
I do like this play to the front of TR, though. 3 easy checks. We have the keys for this, so go for it.
I don't recall offhand if we've seen the front door yet. We have, but it's in a terrible spot. It's in Dark Chapel.
Yeah.
So,
which could be a play here for Incoherent, maybe to get back over to Skull Woods.
It's fair. Also to Eastern, which is in the Dark Lumberjack House, I believe. Certainly it's in this general vicinity.
Yeah, so definitely some plays over here for Incoherent to start cleaning up a little bit. Realistically, we are 1 key from go, no matter what.
Yep.
And an entrance, sorry.
Potentially less than that, but yeah, we do need to find Pod at some point. But we have basically all ways to open entrances except potentially Turtle Rock.
It looks like both our medallion entrances are Quake.
So I looked at both the trackers and I saw question mark Quake on both sides, and my brain just lied to me.
Fair enough.
Which is a thing that happens.
So yeah, we really are just kind of searching for TR Big possibly and Pod.
No.
And we still don't know.
Still don't know. This is not the direction I expected Incoherent to run. But that's because I've forgotten what's in Dark Witch's head.
Oh, Potion Hut.
Oh, just filling up on potions?
Yeah.
All right.
Vanilla Potion Hut.
Just going in buying potions is not a play very often. So, but he's got 1,000 rupees. Like, what the heck? Let's go shopping.
Yeah, after you kind of get shut out by cold stare once, you just don't want to deal with that again. That is not a good feeling, and want to avoid it.
Yep, I respect this play. I just didn't expect this play. Looks like he's not going to Eastern at all. He's going to go beat Desert first. Just what this play is towards. It looks like Brogor got the flute out of his cold stare fight, which we know isn't logically required to see. We've been everywhere. I think Incoherent hasn't yet been to the mire area. I don't remember there being anything important in the mire.
I don't think we got to see what Mire itself was because Brogor's first trip over there was swordless. So
Yep.
even though I think Brogor had the Quake medallion, we were unable to find out what was behind it.
But the other 6 entrances were all blank, I believe. So Incoherent's probably worried about the Mire area, but as it happens, it doesn't matter. And is likely to go beat Ice Palace before he starts doing random connector dives. And so we'll flute over there eventually. The only connector to the Mire area is from Paradox Top to out of Paradox Top to the Mire area, which Incoherent never got around to checking.
Very nice one cycle of Landmo from Incoherent there.
And 90-minute dig game. It's amusing, given that they both had the Mirror and the Moon Pearl for a long time.
Yeah. Unfortunately for both of our runners, really, they are really sorely looking for certain things. Brogor needs to get over to the palace or the pod area for the dam. Incoherent might actually be in slightly better position given that knowledge.
Yep.
Is behind a couple of dungeons, but for the most part has found some of the more important things entrance wise.
Here's Sick Kid check. Speaking of things we've been leaving behind for a long time, Incoherent's had a bottle for an hour at least, and has known where Sick Kid is since minute 4. But showing that guy our bottle, we don't need to do that. It looks like we are heading to the Dark World. I think that this is a long way around to a dungeon for Incoherent. I'm sure there's a connector that would have made this faster. I don't know which one it is, other than Turtle Rock, which we just used. But he used the coming out of Turtle Rock front to go beat Desert instead of go beat Eastern. Fair. I don't know what Brogor is doing. Brogor is looking for the dam. And
well, this might be that Eastern Palace kind of play. Wait.
Incoherent has to go check
the flute.
Skullwoods 3.
So in terms of dungeon finds, we are missing Palace of Darkness.
Yep. So Willard, new and exciting feature on our tracker is that if we know where a dungeon is, we color in the it goes from being initials to being a black and white boss picture. And Wallcake's Incoherent's tracker didn't bother marking either Aga Tower or Ganon's Tower, which Incoherent has also done. Maybe I should have given you this speech at the beginning of the seed, Wally.
So Incoherent heading back into Dark World while Brogor heads into Eastern Palace for this dungeon clear. This is important in terms of this. There is a 1 in 3 shot that this is our last crystal.
Yep. If it is, that's real terrible for Brogor. Because then both runners will just be in go mode when they get here. So Incoherent's going through Hookshot Cave to get back to the Dark World. Or get back to the part of the Dark World with Easter in it. So, and check this entrance on the way.
Yeah, this is kind of cleanup. I think Incoherent knows that the pod find is the big play here.
Yeah.
And was that a TR big key?
Yes, that was a TR big key.
So we are in technically item go.
Yep. Yes, we can unlock every dungeon and every entrance in the game that Pod could possibly be in.
So at this point, though, Incoherent would be looking for one entrance for sure, in terms of Pod. Brogor needs to find the dam as well as Pod.
Yeah. And it's not even the case that they particularly need safeties, things to make Ganon go faster, right? Brogor has silver arrows, tempered sword. He good. All right, this is Incoherent's Eastern play. I know that the Chad has been shouting at him to get here for a while, but he's been working on it.
Yeah, this is a nice play for Incoherent here, getting Eastern Palace right after checking the bumper ledge.
Unfortunately, Brogor is also going to get to check the front of Turtle Rock in a moment via the faster way to get there, which is beating Tredex. So this will Incoherent's play to traverse Turtle Rock. Slightly doesn't pay out. So.
Yeah, and really, we're down to a hunt for Pod for Incoherent, knowing that this is the TR Big Key.
Yep.
So, where is it, and how soon are we going to find it?
I mean, there's marginal value for Incoherent. I don't know what his map situation is for the maps he hasn't checked. And I wasn't fast enough to read his pause buffer there. In picking up a map, potentially picking up a map to either Meyer or Turtle Rock, tell him which thing he needs to do. You have a fire rod, man. Just run the lights. Like, you're cool and all, but you can beat that room without...
I think there was no magic.
Oh, no magic!
Yeah.
Jeez. Sorry, Incoherent's continued issues with his magic meter. I just assume runners manage their resources, and apparently sometimes I'm wrong.
Okay, so we do find out that Turtle Rock is our final pendant, and that means Meyer is a crystal. So there's our 7th crystal. So at this point, silvers were pretty much free for this seed, but I don't think Incoherent's going to get them.
Nope. So that's a good few seconds that Incoherent will give up at Ganon to Brogor. So what we want to see, folks, is both runners at Ganon at the same time.
Yeah, this really is just going to come down to who finds Pod and when does Brogor get over to the Palace of Darkness Temple for the dam.
Yep. And then run back over to Swamp, which is admittedly right around the corner from the dam. I'm a little bit surprised, frankly, that Brogor has found Swamp without finding the dam, given that he's had the mirror for a long time. But I think he went over there when he didn't yet have conventional Dark World access.
I think in terms of entrances, are we down to this being Pod at TR or Meyer? Or Checkerboard? I think those are the 3 entrances we have left that Pod could be at.
Sounds reasonable. Yeah, I think so.
If I'm missing another entrance, I'm not seeing it, but those are the 3 that are kind of screaming out to me.
Yeah, some of the runners stream their door trackers, which are very often not very helpful because they're often quite small. But it's time like this where you can get insight into what the runners think is they're missing. Um, I would expect Incoherent to go back to ice shortly, which will pick up his flute, which will let him get to the mire area, which will tick off 2 of those checks, and in his mind, like 7 checks. Given that he knows Ice Palace is a crystal.
Yeah, I think we'll see. Yeah, it looks like Incoherent is going to finish off Trinex here, knowing that TR Laser Bridge is it here in Kakariko. So really nice just looping in these dungeon clears. It's hopefully going to lead to Ice Palace soon, as you said. Yeah, I mean, I think Incoherent really doesn't have a lot of entrances left. I
mean,
Brogor's got a few areas still to go.
Incoherent has, his like all of Mire area, and then a few more other places. I am certainly not capable of running a separate door tracker for each of the runners.
Yeah,
I know of commentators that do. I am not one of them. I'm sorry, chat. I'm not that good.
And this is the densest area for Brogor for entrances, so that is, really going to work out nicely. Going to be able to find the dam momentarily, find Swamp Palace as well. So
I think our tracker earlier might have gotten excited, and/or Brogor has forgotten where that it was, because it was marked as found, and Brogor just walked into the front door and was like, "Oh, hey, it's Swamp Palace." Incoherent's face upon receiving a pendant there was slightly disappointed.
Yeah, the seed has been a little stingy on the maps, unfortunately, for our runners, so they did have to clear all 3 of the pendants. Even though 2 of them didn't really help us.
Nope. I mean, they helped us know that we didn't need to clear them. Is this... Oh, Hammer Pegs is yet another location pod to be.
We did see, I think, Hammer Pegs on Brogor's side, so...
And both the runners now have a complete set of crystals, or pendants that could go get half magic. Don't think they're interested. And Jinxie assures me that she's right and Brogor's wrong, and that he knows where the newer Swamp Palace was. Ognats. No. We didn't need that. And I think, I guess, Incoherent is hoping the Silvers turn up. And
well, I think Incoherent might be looking for Flute, thinking that's his access to Mire.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why Brogor is still clearing for items as much.
His chat wants to shout at him.
Or Bombos. Yeah. Both of our runners do not know that one of the other entrances is that the other entrance requiring medallion is also Quake. So to them, it could be, Bombos. Yeah. But
an Incoherent ran out of magic in Ice Palace once, so Bombos is a nice little safety blanket.
And Brogor's really just prioritizing finding Pod. In his mind, Swamp Palace is go mode. He knows he doesn't need anything for it. So just, trying to clear out, just get the dungeon. Find out where Pod is.
I'm not... Yeah. I don't know why he just doesn't go do Swamp, though. Incoherent checking tablets before going back to Ice Palace.
This could be Brogor trying to find out if Swamp is go mode.
Sure.
Maybe realizing that if Swamp Palace or if the TR entrance required Bombos, I still need it, and it's not Meyer.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I guess it tells him if he needs to open chests at Swamp. Here's Pod. Checkerboard.
So that is officially go mode for Brogor.
Yep.
Knows where it all is, so he just needs to clear these last 2 crystals, and this is really an advantage for Brogor.
I think that this is basically over.
Yeah, this is a huge lead for Brogor at this point, and I don't see many scenarios that Incoherent can kind of make a comeback from this. Combination of the silvers and still looking for Pod.
Still looking. Silver still looking for Pod and an additional dungeon cleared. Yeah, and I don't think it even comes down to that cold stare death. I mean, it did in that there was a flute there, and that probably cost Incoherent additional time. But the 2 minutes just to run back to the bottom here, I don't think it's going to be 2 minutes close. If I look at my stats, Incoherent is medium likely to play out the seed, so we'll see if we'll get an actual time difference.
But down goes Cold Stare for Incoherent to get crystal number 5.
Yeah, I kind of want to
prediction
on the time difference between the runners, but there's a decent enough chance that the Incoherent forfeits that that'll be unresolvable. Incoherent has to go turn on his flute and gets to feel extra bad about dying on Cold Stare earlier. Incoherent, I think, has still made more raw checks, but raw checks don't count.
Yeah, you can be super efficient in most of your clears and just over-clear your opponent and then lose close races, so...
Yep. I think in this case, Incoherent had the routing edge in terms of decision making a lot of spots, and Brogor had a slight execution edge in that he didn't die to Cold Stare, and and I think maybe got a little bit lucky. I'm not sure, but feels bad for Incoherent. Incoherent gets to feel really bad about that Cold Stare fight for weeks now, because this is what eliminates him from the tournament. So, oh well. Yeah.
And, even with that, Incoherent can, of course, still play out the rest of the Swiss. There are 2 weeks left. All runners participating can play out all 8 weeks.
Yep.
Always good for experience. plenty of tournaments, and I know League is coming up, so a lot of runners will definitely take the time to get more races in against some high quality opponents here.
Yeah, and certainly the X3 bracket is not a bunch of chumps in the Crosskeys tournament. Incoherent gets the bad news. Yep, swearing at himself about not finding that Meyer connector earlier. Incoherent never getting back to that connector. I don't know if there was ever a point where it was correct for him to be diving the Kakariko connectors, but that feels bad. Allison, thank you for sending us your money. We appreciate it. Or Trez does, I guess.
So yeah, Incoherent has entered Go mode at this point, finding the Palace of Darkness. Just needs to take down Helmasaur and then head for Meyer for that 7th crystal, while Brogor is now on Argus for his 7th crystal. So not a terribly big difference in terms of the timing. Meyer's not the nicest dungeon to get back to, but won't take too long.
Yeah, and Go mode Meyer is you can run through there pretty fast.
And actually, with one of our mountain end start points right by Meyer, it's actually a very convenient dungeon to get back to.
Yeah.
So I can see why both, or why specifically Incoherent kind of waited for that play.
Yeah. Allison just reminded me that I should click on my Prime button on my panel, so thanks me for subscribing. Ugh. That was an ugh at the beginning quote. I'll expect Incoherent to play this one out. He's going to lose by probably something like 3 minutes.
I think probably a little closer to 5, just because of the Meyer play still required.
Yeah. Yeah, and Silvers matters too.
Yeah, Silvers will probably add about not too long, but we're definitely talking.
It's like
30 seconds to a minute. Yeah. Especially depending upon how good Incoherence Phase 1 is for Ganon. Brogor did have a 2-in-1.
But then he sets up a triple. So he did it right. Nope.
Had to keep moving up a little bit more after that that second silver, or after both the silvers. But yeah, really nicely done.
Yeah, good setup, poor execution on the triple. Good GG's to Brogor. Keeping it alive at 4-2.
Yep, finishing officially with a race time.gg time of 1:55:59. So as you said, there's that sub 2 that we kind of been looking for. So really nicely done. And unfortunately, Incoherent does decide to forfeit after seeing Brogor finish.
Okay. And a quake for of annoyance, presumably. That's about 7 minutes faster than Brogor's best time so far this tournament. We'll see if Jinxie can pull in Incoherent and Brogor into an interview, or if they're just shy. That's allowed, and or mad. I feel bad for some players that have a frustrating loss. Oh no, Incoherent's putting on a headset, so he's presumably going to join us in a moment. welcome Incoherent. Condolences.
Hi. Yeah, I was afraid of that in general.
Which that in particular? Cold Stare?
In particular, the part where I could have gotten to pod way earlier.
Finding the paradox connector as you were clearing out the mire was like, shit.
It's just just a bunch of things that sort of came together to make me annoyed. The fire rod that I got very, very late. The running out of magic on Cold Stare. Finding the flute on Cold Stare later on, which would have been basically go mode.
Yep.
And then finding out I didn't actually need it.
Yeah. Both of you completed both Eastern and Turtle Rock due to lack of maps, which kind of funny from our point of view. I think it was totally the right play for both of you to do it. Welcome, Brogor.
Hello.
GG's.
I mean, you kind of had to do Eastern anyway, because the TR Big Key was there.
Yeah. The TR Big Key that you also didn't need.
Yeah, a big bait chain.
So yeah, I think from our perspective, the big difference was Brogor checked did a whole South Light World sweep super early, which looked bad because he had to leave behind some rock locations. But the fire rod was there, and Incoherent just didn't get back there for like an hour. He just kept being led away a little bit.
Yeah, like this is a jet seed, and if you miss the jet, then bad things happen.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. I assume I was actually in go mode when finding Somaria. Not quite sure. And I didn't realize for a long time. I know I didn't have the information for the pendant and crystals at that point, but I could have just jumped down there and do Misery Maya and gamble on the crystal there, and I would have known Eastern Palace is useless, TR is useless. Could have, yeah. So you're right. It is definitely Jetty, this seed.
I mean, yeah, both of you had found Eastern and Turtle Rock, and so were tempted into those 1/3 and 1/2 chances at a crystal rather than continuing the search for pod.
Turtle Rock's definitely way faster than Mire, and I think Eastern even is.
Yeah. Maybe not go mode Mire. You guys have both dipped the place, but it's close. I've been talking over my co-commentator. Radical Sniper 99. You have any?
No, I think you've been covering it really nicely. It's interesting to kind of see how the routes turned out. I don't think either of you had or at least early on, you were both finding a lot of entrances and hitting spots early. So
I guess one big piece of divergence that turned out to be important, and I actually like Incoherent's play in the abstract here, is Brogor did Paradox Cave and then continued out of Paradox, and it took him quite a long time to actually get back to Kakariko for the boots.
Yeah.
Whereas Incoherent ducked immediately, jetted over to the boots, jetted over to GT with the Hammerhook boots, and left Paradox behind forever. And that lack of checking the extra exit from Paradox turned out to be really important an hour later, because you never had a good reason to go back there. So I'd actually like both of you to, if you can remember back that far, to explain why you made the choices that you did.
Okay, you start. Sorry.
Okay. Well, I'd seen the boots, and I went, all right, well, great. I should have done this the first time. Like that was what I should have done, honestly, is I had hook, I had bombs. Should have just done the Paradox items and left. And then I would have gotten the boots. Probably done the same thing, honestly, but there are so many connectors in CAC that I felt like I didn't want to just spend all my time taking them, because I've done that a lot, and sometimes you just sort of end up saving and quitting a lot and going back to Kakariko.
Right.
The one I wanted was the Death Mountain Ascent, so I did that one.
Yeah.
And then I just never had an opportunity to come back to it. And I realized toward the end, when I'm looking for a flute perhaps to get to the Mire area, that there is a strong chance that I could have just been there a while ago. But I sort of had to roll with what I did.
That's right.
Yeah, for me it was, I had just, I think, 4 bombs or something like that when I found it. And I had the hookshot not dead at that point because I started in Sanctuary and came from the north. And I think I just dodged the hammer a bit, and it was a bit hurting because we saw the boots on the right side of Kakariko hammerlocked, and we saw GT and Laser Bridge immediately after. You've probably also seen I had some issues with the Laser Bridge at this point.
Same.
Yeah.
Chat was very disappointed in both of you. Allison promises to give tutorials on laser skips.
Yeah.
Track it down.
It gets easier if you are warm, played a bit before, or even have warm hands. I was shaking a bit here. It was a bit cold.
I mean, I'm usually bad at them, but not that bad.
Yeah, same. I think I died twice, and then I skipped it. Did the fake flippers, came back and found the flippers. Yeah. Yeah, but back to your question with the Paradox Cave. I think I followed it to the downside entrance, and it was on GT Mountain, GT Tower. And then I was like, oh, do you immediately save and quit now, or do you just check the both entrances here? The first check was an item, I think. Second was Ferry Ascent, which also takes forever. You can do with boots quite faster. And then you get to the south shore of Darkworld, and then I was like, oh my god. And then I found the third 5 check in the meaning of back of Thieves Town. So I had already found 3 of the 5 checks, 2 of the 2 checks, and 5 or 6 of the 1 checks. And I was like, oh, I have just to focus on getting those boots now and commit to dungeons, because the most progress will be in dungeons now. And I had Electro Key and GT, and I was like, okay, I don't want to go without bow and fire rod and sword burner to the ice armors. So I gambled on the 1 check in the laser bar room, and it was nothing.
Yeah, so we discussed in chat or in commentary that you chose 1 item over 9 items.
Yeah.
Which seems bold. But of course, you didn't have any good way to kill ice armors at the time. So
I would usually recommend doing not what I did there, but since GT was so close to the spawn point, so to speak, I think it's maybe even faster to return to ice armors if you have to slow kill them with a hammer, and then there's always the chance of messing up. And my early execution already felt sluggish and slow because I dodged the hammer and had the boots late, always figuring, oh my god, incoherent probably found this in the first go. You have to make some time up, so I go with a bold choice there and skip the other stuff for later. Yeah.
We do need to waggle our finger at you very slightly. You did Houlihan, and then you didn't go into Link's house.
Yeah.
For no reason.
I thought I would just start there after Kakariko, so I can just get the item then.
For no reason. Because that is
I mean, I have to go in there. It takes 6 seconds. So.
Yes, I think it cost you more than 6 seconds not getting that hookshot.
Yeah, the hookshot was good to have though for movement, of course, before boots. And
also, you had the mirror
defense,
earlier than me, probably too.
Yes, by quite a lot.
It was
because
in South Shore, right?
Yeah, it was Dark South Shore. Because what I did was I went into that first entrance, which is Castle, and I died in Dark Cross because I forgot it was Dark World. And then I went, okay, let me go check another entrance to see if I can get a Light World entrance. Got one, did Dark Cross, went, okay, I should do the third one, and that led me away.
Yeah, I can believe that. I also found the Hyrule Castle right side before I fetched the boots. It was that point where I followed the connectors chain, and then I just thought, no, you don't go in there now. You have to get the boots, and then you come back later. And then I know there must be a Zelda connector to the floating island, because I found everything else except maybe the brother connector. Not sure at this point. So
Floating Island was Castle Left, I think.
Yeah, it was Castle Left.
Yeah, and I think that's what led Incoherent away. Is you got the floating island, and you're like, floating island is great. Let's just do this. And you didn't get back to Dark Lake Hylia for quite some time.
Yeah, because the right play there, I think, is to get the items and then go back out and do the nearby entrances and then do that.
Yeah. Where was the first gloves? I forgot. Somewhere in the Eastern Palace?
No.
It was somewhere
somewhere
outside.
awkward.
I felt kind of bad about it. I don't remember where it was.
I believe
Yeah,
who got
because
the
those were kind of key for everything.
Yeah. The Thieves' Town under a rock with the second gloves in it was like...
Yeah, that's true. Funny, by the way.
All right. I'm kind of running out of questions. Oh, sorry. I have to ask Brogor. You're still alive. You're 4-2. We've got 2 weeks left. If you win them both, you're in the play-in race. How you feeling?
I'm 4-2 now, I think. Yeah. So I'm still
alive.
Able to. You are also alive, Incoherent?
No. I'm commentator.
Not anymore.
I didn't understand correctly then. Sorry. I'm still alive. I don't know. I didn't even imagine to come that far. And I'm having fun. I'm just keep going. Even if I lose the next one, I will also play the last one then. And try to get a 5-3, or I try to get a 6-2. So maybe get whipped by the big guys then.
The top of the standings are looking more and more stacked with every passing week.
Yeah, of course. This pyramid system, Swiss tournament style, it's always getting harder.
Yes.
Yeah, it's always sort of a crab bucket. Like, I figured I could finish anywhere from like in brackets to 4-4 or something, and it's disappointing that I go out. But whatever. It's Crosskeys.
I'm sorry.
It happens, and not your fault. You played fine.
No.
Can I ask that full magic?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I feel bad about dying to cold stare for at least a week. Sorry.
Can I ask where you have been in the end when I finished? I have no clue.
I was just entering Mire, which was my last step.
Okay.
My limit was the pod entrance.
Yes. Basically same. I was looking for is it called dam in English? I think it's dam. To drain the water?
Yes.
And I know, pot. Oh my god, is pot just there at Long's house or maybe in the Maya area? It was the last I had. I only had Turtle Rock entrance left, I think. Turtle Rock main.
By the way, Incoherent, we were surprised when you came out of Turtle Rock front and you chose to go to Desert instead of going to go to Eastern. They were both not great to get back to, but it was a choice made relatively late.
That Desert entrance is in a terrible spot, and that's about as close as you're ever going to get to it without making a special trip.
Yep.
I knew I had to do some stuff in like sort of the northwest quarter of the world, so I went back for Eastern then. Like I went and did the Hookshot Cave and then mirrored there, and then went to Eastern was the plan.
Yep. As it happens, we saw that developed in the sort of the long range plan, and it seemed entirely reasonable. But at the time, you surprised us by going shopping for potions like a person that likes safety.
Like a person who ran out of magic on Cold Stare and had to mirror out.
Yeah. Once bitten, twice shy. All right. Good luck to you both next week. Thank you to our trackers and restreamer Jinxie, as well as Wallkicks, who's obviously also a good player and also a commentator, but stay tuned. And Jinxie, if you can play us out.
Yes, sir. It would be my pleasure. On behalf of ZSR, thank you so much for joining us. Huge thank you to our wonderful runners who put on a fantastic show. As always, thanks to you, the chat, who continue to support us and show up for not only A Link to the Past, but all of our other exciting Zelda tournaments that we have going on. With that said, we are going to jump on over to Zelda Speedruns 2. I believe it's Majora's Mask, but I'm not 100%. But please tune in for more Crosskeys action as we continue our 2021 tournament.